Good morning, Ukraine, and welcome to the Shills Weekly Update. We got a good friend operator Starsky back with us, and I'll be handing things over to him in just a second. But first, as usual, we got a few ground rules. We're not going to discuss anything that might reveal Starsky or any other soldier's positioning or movements or put their life in danger. And we're not going to entertain any pro Russian propaganda or bigotry, and our moderators will hand out warnings and remove users as needed. So let's everybody play by the rules, have a nice chat, and I'm going to hand it over to you, Starsky.
Hello and thank you. Hi everyone. We've got a bunch of news today. Some of them are good, some of them are not so. So first of all, according to the information provided by British intelligence, during the battles for Mariupol, our troops have caused serious casualties to Russian invaders. And we have a bunch of interesting news regarding specific troops that participate in this area. For example, around 2,000 of Kadyrovites from Chechnya are involved into this attack in Mariupol. And according to the information that we have currently, Ramzan Kadyrov, chief of that regime in Chechnya, is responsible for deployment of their troops, while his cousin Adam Delimkhanov is commanding those troops in Mariupol. And according to this information, probably we have like big communication problem between different Russian commanders on different levels, because knowing that they are involving those Kadyrovites means that they lack troops a lot, because Kadyrovites are responsible for providing security for the regime of Ramzan Kadyrov in Chechnya. So basically, they have just a little amount of those troops left in Chechnya at this point. Also, according to the information from Pentagon, Russian Federation have decreased its ambitions in Ukraine. So during those first weeks of the attack, their main goal was to capture Kiev, capture most of major Ukrainian cities like Kharkiv, like Mykolaiv, and they failed a lot, and they had to retreat from area around Kiev and of course Kharkiv. And yeah, so basically currently they are targeting to reinforce that corridor they have between Crimea and Russia, and gain control over as much territory of Donbass as they can. That's why they are concentrating their troops in this area. And yesterday, Ukrainian artillery have destroyed the headquarters of Black Sea Fleet of Russian Federation. And according to our information, Russians have lost a lot of their high-ranked officers. So they have 3 eliminated and 14 wounded officers of higher command that were basically commanding the forces of the Black Fleet. Among them, there are such wounded officers like deputy commander of 810th Marine Regiment, Yana Sukhanova, deputy commander of 382nd Marine Battalion, Major Leonid Smirnov, and Yana Sukhanova is a colonel. And we know their names, of course, because we have intercepted all that information. like we do. There's also information regarding commander of artillery battery number 546, Captain Viktor Yershov. So he won't be able to drink vodka anymore because he doesn't have an arm anymore, which is beautiful. And yeah, and one of the news that are very important, in my opinion, is that Minister of Foreign Affairs of the UK, Liz Truss, supports the idea of the international trial that will sue Vladimir Putin and other Russian leaders like Ramzan Kadyrov and other officers, high-ranked officers, for their crimes against Ukraine. For some reason, I think that, yeah, there's a chance that it will happen, actually. And today we've been to Hostomel with the journalists. Again, there's like a lot of different things to see, and we heard like an explosion, and at first we thought that those were our engineers demining the territory, because there's quite a lot of explosions like every day, because they're finding mines, booby traps, and shells and bombs that didn't explode, and of course we have to get rid of them somehow. But no, this time actually it was a Russian UAV, Russian drone, one of those Orlans with Chinese and Japanese parts. And that Orlan was shot down by our 72nd Brigade over Hostomel, actually. So Russian drones are still flying over the north of Kyiv, which means that, yeah, they are still trying to learn about our troops that are present in the area, about our defenses in that area. And yeah, we gotta keep our eye on that direction. Also, our railway service, railway office in Ukraine, asked Russians to finally receive their bodies, because like their bodies are kept in a special fridge train for like almost 2 months, and we wanted to bury them at first, because keeping them in the fridge takes quite a lot of fuel, and fuel is kind of expensive in Ukraine nowadays. But yeah, we're still keeping them, and their number increases. Of course, Russian side doesn't want to receive those bodies. There's a specific website available online. It's russoldat.info, and basically you can see like list and photos of their soldiers that were killed in action or captured as POW, and all of them are available on that website. There's like a lot of information. A lot of Russian relatives, like mothers and like parents and wives, already found a bunch of their soldiers who were either captured or eliminated in Ukraine. Due to this website, they were able to recognize them. And yeah, currently our railway office is doing everything they can in order to to remove this take this freight train to Russia and help them return their own bodies of their own soldiers. Unfortunately, Russians are refusing to do so because there's quite a lot of them. So they still claim that their losses are minimal. And of course, I think that this, receiving all of those thousands of those bodies will be kind of dangerous, for them in terms of informational warfare. So that's basically most of our news. Unfortunately, we keep receiving a lot of information from those territories that were liberated by Ukrainian forces around Kharkiv. And unfortunately, we receive a lot, like mass messages regarding rapes. So, according to our Commissioner for Human Rights, Lyudmila Denisova in Ukraine, she claims that yesterday, during just 1 hour, she received 10 messages from people who survived through rape by Russian invaders. Among those 10 persons, 8 of them were underage, and 2 of them were boys, 10 years old. So she told about the examples of those atrocities. So there were like 3 twins girls. They were 9 years old. They were raped, and they have very, very serious traumas in Izium. There was a mother who contacted our commissioner and said that her 9-month-old daughter was raped as well. 1-year-old boy was raped by 2 Russian soldiers, and he died. A girl, 2 years old, was raped by 2 Russian soldiers. She's still alive. And crazy information about 2 men, 67 and 78 years old, that were also raped by Russian soldiers.
Inhuman fucks.
And
Scumbags.
and our security service of Ukraine is currently finding a lot of Russian soldiers who raped Ukrainian women. For example, Bulat Fasakhov from Tatarstan, Russian soldier, 21 years old. He was found, and their pictures are already published by our security service. So we have a lot of evidence regarding those atrocities. We have a lot of photos of Russian criminals. And yesterday, one of those criminals that actually was accused of shooting artillery at civilian sector, civilian houses, already faced trial in Ukraine, and he admitted that he was guilty, and he simply followed an order, as he claims, that the information is public. So that's the news that we have today. Yeah.
Jesus Christ. That is hard to fucking hear, man.
Yeah, it's pretty heavy. They're pretty monstrous. You guys are taking every care in the world with their soldiers' bodies, and they're just dumping everybody in mass graves. But we do have a super chat already, so I'm going to hand off to Aimee to call that out for us.
Yes, please. Thank you. We've got a super chat from Donna Quinn for $19.99 US. Glory to heroes, and it's in Cyrillic, so it looks like it says Slava Ukraini. So I'm going to go with that for now. I'm sorry, but thank you so much. It's also got a sunflower and a tractor, so thank you so much. We appreciate that. Yeah, that was definitely, wow, the stark contrast between, trying to send their soldiers' bodies homes to their families, and what's going on as far as war crimes are concerned. It just, there are no words. It's,
Wow.
yeah.
Wow. Aaron, should we turn it to the viewers and get some questions in and whatnot? And I'm almost concerned on the comments and questions we could get right now after that. But how do you? I don't have words, man.
So one of the things that Russians often say in response, to all those atrocities committed by Russian troops is that Ukraine has bombed Donbass for 8 years, and now you can feel the same. But for those 8 years of this war that is ongoing in Ukraine, literally no, there was no, how you call it in English? Oh my God, my English sucks today so much. So
I got you.
Jack, суд, как дело в суде.
Court case.
Yeah.
Case.
So literally no court case was registered or issued by Russian side to any European institution, for example, or like international, trial for human rights and stuff like that, regarding atrocities committed in Donbass. So, of course, most of those are fakes that were simply created for Russian television, and they only exist on Russian television. There's this very famous story about Ukrainian soldiers in Sloviansk who crucified a little kid, and basically,
Classic, that one.
yeah. So, yeah, you heard about it. So, he like a woman who witnessed all that said that thousands of people were witnessing this massacre committed over a small kid that was crucified and stuff like that. And literally none of those people had a cell phone to make a video of that. While we have videos of things that, that are crazy, that were committed by Russians in Ukraine, in all kinds of regions. So basically, yeah, you can understand, what I'm talking about.
Also, can't forget the fact that she later was interviewed, and then she said that it was all fake, and she lied for Russian television.
Yeah, because this woman was basically an actress, and she was spotted in different videos that were not related between each other. One of those videos was related to, allegedly Ukrainian bombing of Donbass, and she played a role of, just a common shop seller or shopkeeper. And in that another video, she was a witness of crucifixion of a boy and stuff like that. Yeah, so Russians keep claiming that Ukraine basically bombed Donbass for 8 years, but literally there was no case issued regarding this in any international institution.
I've got a few questions on similar topic, but first I'm going to let Aimee take care of a couple of super chats, super stickers quickly.
Absolutely, please. Thank you. I've got 2 super chats. One from Estelle C for 10 pounds sterling, says they aren't human. So sorry for their grief. Slava Ukraini. And then Vasi Gancheva for 5 Bulgarian lev says it's just a pair character. It's a sticker. So thank you so much. Keep it up, it says. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. Then we also have one from Adamantium for 50 Norwegian krona, says Snake Island is in artillery range. No? Why risk jets and Bayraktars? Thank you so much, everyone.
Snake Island, I would say that it's kind of more psychological point in this war than strategical, because well, for us it's more psychological influence on Russians. For Russians, Snake Island is another crazy idea of creating some kind of command center on that island, send a lot of troops, get them killed, and send other troops, because this is the way Russian generals do business, like in Chernobyevka, for example.
And it looks like we have another super chat that rolled in. If you want to take care of that, and then I'll hit some guest questions.
Sure, that sounds great. Thank you. We've got level 70 for 13.99 Canadian. Says the Russians are making small daily gains on the Eastern Front, especially around Luhansk. When can we hope to see reinforcements there to push them back? Thank you so much, level 70.
First of all, we are trying to obviously exhaust Russian forces because, yeah, they are doing small progress. On the other hand, that progress is not significant because their speed of movement into our territories is very, very low. It's 0 to 1 kilometers per day, which is a progress, but it's like pointless. Soon there will be a reinforcement with new weapons. For example, today we received a lot of videos of using those British surface-to-surface missiles, Brimstone, I believe they are called. And by the way, they are great. They are awesome. So thank you, guys. Yeah, we are expecting to receive reinforcement when they are needed. Currently, we are doing our best to keep our defense and exhaust Russians as much as we can, and we are basically successful in this perspective.
Excellent. Thank you so much. And I have a couple more for you. We have Adrian Weber, who says, "Hey, Starsky, Germany stands with you. These Russian crimes have to be punished, and I sincerely hope that this terrible war will end soon. Slava Ukraini." Thank you so much, Adrian. Then we have Egil Anderson for 50 Norwegian krona, says, "From now, don't take any prisoners." And then, thank you so much, Egil. And then we have Computer Problematique for 10 euros as well, says, "Hello and thanks for your top quality information. Your English is great. How long do you think it takes before all orcs are gone from your country? Stay strong." Thank you so much, everyone.
Thank you so much. So I would like to answer this this question. We have two versions of ending this war. First version involves total mobilization in Russia, which, like, I think like it won't happen, like 90% that it won't happen, because they lack vehicles to complete their new brigades that will be, created during this mobilization. They lack vehicles, they lack tanks, and of course they lack modern weapons to do that. And basically, there's no point in having huge forces that only consist from infantry. That's a big fail. So another version is that we know the number of their troops that are currently available. We know the number of combat-worthy troops. And according to our calculations, let's call them this way, we believe that this war might end in August, or it may take a couple more years. But like optimistically, it's around August. Pessimistically, it's a couple more years. Personally, I believe that some kind of crazy, unexpected shit is going to end this war, as it usually happens.
Good shout. Yeah.
Excellent. Thank you so much. Just have one more super chat. We have Annette Wagner for $10 American says, thank you so much for your strength and service. You fight for all of the world's democratic freedom. The $40 billion US aid package passed today. Will this be enough to help Ukraine? Thank you so much, Annette.
Good one.
That's perfect.
Yeah, every help is useful for Ukraine currently. I cannot thank you enough for providing all this help and support. And I cannot say that, some kind of sum of money is like enough to guarantee our victory. But I think that like any kind of support is helpful and useful for Ukraine as well as for the whole Europe. So yesterday I received a comment from a Russian troll on YouTube, and this comment is amazing because this troll spoke the truth, like probably for the first time that I saw. So he said like Ukraine should prepare, for fail, for capitulation, and Russia will take like whole Europe, like from Ukraine and to English Channel. And I thanked that dude because literally it's like it has nothing to do with that, denazification that they are claiming to perform in Ukraine. He basically explained what Russians are fighting for. They are fighting for, total domination, which is again very funny, considering they couldn't, capture even a single major city in Ukraine. But again, we basically learned their ambitions, and I hope that Russians will speak more truth from now on, so we could all understand what they really want.
Yeah. Okay.
And I'm going to hand it off to M2M because we had a few questions about the same issue from the viewers. I think he kind of had a quick summary question on it.
Yeah, got a question from Ibram. He says, is General Dvornikov dead? We haven't heard anything about him since he was supposed to have taken over this so-called unified command of the special operation. Have you heard anything about that, Starsky? I did hear something, but they didn't mention the name. So have you heard anything about that?
So a couple of weeks ago, we received an information about General Dvornikov being injured. Some of those gossips claimed that, yeah, he was severely injured during the fight in the area near Izium. Others claimed that he was dead. It's like, kind of controversial information. Of course, we don't hear from him like for quite a while. And yeah, I sincerely hope that he got denazified by Ukrainian forces. So I cannot really answer this question, but the mere fact that we don't hear anything about him actually says a lot.
Yeah, absolutely. With another question as well. It's a bit of a combination question here from Sandra. You were talking about prisoners of Mariupol, etc. earlier on. She says, "Hi there. Please ask Starsky about the exchange of POWs. What kind of men do you exchange? Only normal soldiers, pilots? What if someone killed a Ukrainian? Please tell us about this procedure." And she also went on to ask, "What about Ukrainian POWs? The horrible tortures that they will be subjected to is torture itself."
We have two groups of Ukrainian wounded defenders that were evacuated from Azovstal, and they received treatment in Russian hospitals. So there were like two groups one of them was around 50 men, and another group was around 200 men. We negotiated with Russians about the medical treatment that they will receive, and about the exchange of those defenders for Russian POWs that we are keeping in our prisons. Russians currently trying to spread fakes regarding whole amount of Ukrainian defenders that surrendered to Russians. So it's like, why are you calling it evacuation if it's basically surrender? And the fact is that there are still defenders that keep fighting at Azov still, and those guys that were evacuated are basically wounded soldiers. So yeah, we expect the exchange, unless, of course, Russians decide not to keep their word.
So just to confirm then, because we did have a question from Matteo, is Mariupol surrendered entirely then? So you can confirm that there's still some are still fighting on currently.
Yeah. Commander of the Azov actually made another video recently. So again, Russians attempted to spread fakes about his death, and yeah, they do that a lot. And he made another video recently regarding this, so he's fine. And
because it was sorry to interrupt you. It's just that it was quite widely reported actually in the mainstream media here that Mariupol basically they've in the Sevastopol steel plant that they've been evacuated and it's entirely under Russian hands now. So you were saying that that's not the case.
Yes, there's still a point of resistance in Azov Steel, and commander of Azov and other soldiers are still fighting there. Of course, their number is much smaller, but again, now they don't have to care for their wounded soldiers because having a dead soldier is it's cynical, but it's true. Having a dead soldier is easier than having a wounded soldier, because you have to care for this person, and this makes it like 3 times harder to perform your duties. And yeah, that's basically why they decided to save those guys, because you either cannot fight, or you cannot care for your wounded comrades efficiently. So I think that was a wise decision, and of course I think that this exchange will take place in Mariupol successfully.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Looks like we've got a few super chats built up, and then we'll go over to Dave.
We've Dave's been waiting. Let's bring him in, and then we'll do our house cleaning here.
Oh, okay.
Sure thing. Let's give Aimee a chance. Hi, Starsky. Pleasure as always.
Hello,
hope you can hear
friend.
me okay.
Yeah.
Russia is mounting night raids to overrun Ukrainian positions in the contested Donbass, leaving Ukraine in dire need of strike and night vision drones to launch counterattacks. Is this true? I assume some of the billions from the US will go towards this.
So we are using our drones in the night a lot, and according to our interceptions of Russian communications, they are scared of our our style of warfare, because they say that in the night, when their troops are less combat worthy than during the day, our Ukrainian forces are performing those strikes using our drones, And those strikes are successful because, again, we're targeting a lot of their commanders and their supply lines. Of course, the more drones equipped with night vision we have, the better for our victory. And yeah, I expect that we will receive a lot of them. Yeah, and those Bayraktars, by the way, they are, of course, equipped with night vision as well as thermal vision. And yeah, you probably already know that they are very efficient on the Ukrainian battlefield.
Yeah, nice. I wanted to just quickly follow up with that because I think you posted on your community post about this on your YouTube channel about a drone that had been shot down and made a quip about was it a rat that might have taken it down? But anyway, whatever took it down. I wanted to try and get an image in my head of what warfare is actually like. I mean, does it happen? Do these attacks happen at night quite often, or is it, say, only a very, very spontaneous, sporadic event? Does that make sense?
Basically, how it looks like is Russians are shelling all day long. They are performing a lot of missile and air strikes on our positions, on positions of our forces, our supply units, like they are attempting to target our supply units and civilian infrastructure. Again, like fuel depots and stuff like that. And yeah, we have to defend ourselves. Again, it's very hard to defend against artillery. You gotta understand it. And in the night, usually, and actually, I witnessed it like since those very first days of invasion. In the night, we are striking their positions. We are eliminating plenty of their commanders and people responsible for coordination and their supply lines. And basically, yeah, they still might have like a lot of tanks and vehicles, but without fuel, those vehicles are useless. Without food, their soldiers are useless. And we are counterattacking again in the night using superiority in our night vision equipment that we received from our allies. And yeah, like the next morning we have like a bunch of good news usually regarding some new positions or new territories liberated by our troops, and a bunch of their commanders, Russian commanders, eliminated by our troops, our UAVs, and our missiles.
Yeah, because I can only imagine how, if they've got such superior quantity of everything, they if they were a little bit more organized, surely they would have when they were trying to attack you in the daytime, there'd be some people resting, and then when they go to rest, then the other teams take over, and then it's just like a relentless blitzkrieg, if that makes sense. But they don't seem very well organized to do that.
That is true. That's why we call it a blitzkrieg.
Very good.
Yeah.
Excellent. Did you want to just throw it out to Aimee? Have you got quite a few super chats there?
Yeah, we have a couple we could clear up, right, Aimee?
Yes, we do, please. If we could go ahead and do that. We've got one from Aza Anholm for 100 Danish krona. Says, hello from Denmark, Operator Starsky. Don't know if it's your style of music. Have you seen the Ed Sheeran song Two Step? I'm a fan of you. Thank you for your update. Stay safe. And then Dee Reynolds says, for $5 American, Operator Starsky, how do you stop yourself from murdering every Russian soldier, POWs included, with the discovery of the consistent inhuman behavior? Thank you so much, everyone.
Okay, Two Step, no, unfortunately, I didn't hear it. However, I like Ed Sheeran very much. And as for POWs, again, we are not fighting Russians to become Russians ourselves. So we need those
Good shout.
POWs to return our guys back. That's very important for us.
Good shout, man. Good shout. Matt, I do believe you're waiting.
Yeah, we've got a couple more viewer questions. First one comes from PW6805. I'm not kind of entirely sure what this means, but anything about Gerasimov, who was told to be in Izium under the perfect shelling. Haven't seen or heard about him since the attack. Can you shed any light on that?
I'm not sure. I'm not sure because I don't have this information at this point. Again, we can pray and hope for those Russian commanders to be eliminated, and yeah, I hope that eventually they will all be. But currently, I cannot tell you this information because I don't have it.
Okay, no problem. Next question we've got is from Jane Adair. Do you think that Putin is indeed dying, and what can we expect on the news about this soon? And would the orcs just head home if that's true? Oh, I wish. Don't we all?
So that's exactly the question that I've asked today. I've asked this question. Like one of my colleagues from the armed forces, they are responsible for analytics and stuff, and he said basically Putin is freaking old. He's freaking 70, and yeah, he is he has all the problems that old people have. So I'm not sure whether he's like ill or something. I didn't see his medical book, but yeah, he's basically old, and all the results that we see on the video, including his style of talking, some kind of agonies, uncontrolled and stuff like that. That's simply because of his age, I think.
Yeah, I mean, I think we'd wish for his death either natural or by other means. I think, wouldn't we?
True.
I mean, there's talk of hopefully in the future that there might be an overthrow at some point or other, or somebody might assassinate him. But I don't know, we'll see. Anyway, I think that's all the viewer questions we've got for the moment. Over to Aaron. Have you got something next?
Yeah, just actually a question from me comboed with a question from somebody in the audience. They asked if you tried out the Ukrainian Vulcan M rifle, and then I saw your video, not to go too gun guy on this, but talking about the AK-74. I know that you guys are going to be getting, hopefully, a lot of assistance from NATO and eventually joining NATO. Do you foresee switching over weaponry and everything anytime soon, or is it just going to be a kind of a cobbled together arsenal for now?
That's a good question because, for example, I know that Polish troops they use AK rifles that were modified for NATO 5.56 millimeter caliber, and forgive me if I'm wrong, but that's what I know. And in Ukraine, we already use a lot of NATO weapons. For example, in my brigade, our special forces company in my brigade uses AR-15s that are made in Ukraine, and they are using plenty of sniper rifles that were made outside Ukraine. And from the way we are using, for example, those M777 howitzers and anti-air missiles and anti-tank missiles and other weaponry that was provided to Ukraine, you can see that we are doing that very efficiently. And of course, Ukrainians are learning very fast. So I'm sure there will be absolutely no problem. And regarding Vulcan, well, actually, I wanted to make a video on that sometime before this invasion, because we have like two bullpup modifications of Wait a second. Yeah, we have like two modifications for AK. One is Vulcan. I'm sorry. Okay, it confused me because I thought he was talking about Weber. So in Ukraine we have like two modifications of AK, and those are bullpup AKs. One is called Vapor, and another one is called Maluk. Those are used by our special forces. Yeah, I wanted to make a review of those rifles. As for Vulcan, I gotta learn more about it.
Okay, yeah, because just for people that kind of help the layman understand, different types of weapons use different types of ammunition. In World War II, U.S. actually ran into that, too many different types of arms, and it's hard to apply.
Yeah, I'm very sorry about confusing you and myself,
no.
because I thought we were talking about those modifications.
Okay.
They are kind of okay, in my opinion.
Okay. Sir,
I really
saying
hope-
Matt has. Oh, go ahead, Jack.
Just wanted to jump in and say that I really hope that you're gonna get P90s, because those guns are awesome.
Yeah, those are not bad, and actually, like my recent video on YouTube is related to different versions of AK rifle, because you know, a lot of people don't know much about it, and whenever they see Kalashnikov, they automatically think that this is AK-47, which is not always true. And yeah, whenever I hear that I'm using AK-47, I feel like I'm 125 years old, actually. And yeah, I had to make this video to remove all the confuse from my viewers.
Yeah. I think Matt has a couple of viewer questions, but Dick, did you have something really quickly?
Yeah, I just wanted to. There was a comment in the chat that I wanted to get off. Bobo Uzala. We never hear any negative reports regarding Ukrainian warriors, soldiers. And I don't think this is biased reporting. I do believe Ukrainian fighters fight from the heart, highly disciplined, and are doing it properly. Well said. Well said. Love it.
Yeah, that is true, of course, because we are not invading another country. We are protecting what we have. Yeah, there are some stuff like, for example, our chaplain returned to his home in Hostomel and found out that, there were trenches made not far from his home. And he was like, kind of angry, so he asked those territorial defense guys who made those trenches, and asked like, what the hell? And they told him that according to the schemes that they had to make those trenches there. Unfortunately, we must understand that we cannot make positions just in random locations, because we have field manuals, okay, and those field manuals are written in blood. So yeah, basically they had to do that, and our chaplain was angry because they walked around his house a lot, for example. So they broke his fence and stuff like that. Yeah, those things happen, and unfortunately, yeah, this is war, so we are very sorry, but sometimes we have to do that. I know like a lot of cases like that one, actually, but
It's
yeah,
quite comical, actually.
yeah.
Not in my backyard.
Yeah, true.
Yeah.
And it looks like we've got a super chat. Oh, sorry, Matt.
No, go ahead. Get the super chats out of the way.
Sorry, say we've got one up really quickly. Do you want to hit that, Aimee? Because
Sure, I can grab.
Piled up from viewers.
Thank you so much. We've got one from Critter John for $4.99 US. Says, on a similar note, can you explain the differences between Stugna, Javelin, NLAW, and PG-7 AT systems. And then we have a second one that just came in just now from Annette Wagner for $10 American. Says, Operator Starsky, you are prayed for every day. Please be careful. Your important work has just begun. The world knows you and needs you. I think you are more famous than Johnny Depp now. Thank you so much. Exactly. Thank
I
you so
love
much
it.
to the both of you. I do too. That's great.
Well,
Oh
I've
my
I've
God.
had a drink with Johnny Depp, not Starsky, so there you go.
Yeah, but you have an
Okay.
Emmy, DK. Come on.
Okay, guys. I'm not like following fame or anything like that. I would prefer being an unknown press officer, if not the war. Maybe a gamer YouTuber or something like that. And I would love to have like 2 subscribers on my channel, my father and my dog. But yeah, regarding anti-tank systems, so PG-7 is I think that he meant RPG-7V. PG-7 is a name for the rocket shot by RPG-7V. So that's
Oh.
basically a very famous grenade launcher. It's an anti-tank grenade launcher that you can see in 99% of Hollywood action movies.
Right.
Yeah, so, but it's kind of old, I would say. You cannot use it efficiently. For example, that PG-7 grenade, you cannot use it efficiently against personnel because it's specifically designed to penetrate armor. But again, there are specific grenades. We call it pencils in English because they look like pencils. And they are designed to be used against personnel. So that's an unguided grenade. In Hollywood movies, whenever somebody shoots that grenade launcher, they always portray this rocket flying very slow. So I think that in some of movies I saw like the protagonist shooting this rocket with a shotgun while flying, which is very funny. In reality, this rocket is flying very fast, like a bullet. You cannot even see it, only from a distance. I've been shooting RPG a couple of times, and this shit is loud because you basically have like huge cylinder, like it's probably a 1 foot long cylinder of powder exploding right under your right ear, which is kind of loud. So 2 shots from RPG-7 equals to a small concussion. But it's good, and my brigade uses modernized RPGs that are made in the US. This RPG is called BRL. No, it's called, wait, precision PSRL, or in Ukraine it's called RPG-1. It's basically the same RPG-7V, but it has greater range, greater precision. Both people that it can be used by people who use both hands, like lefties and righties. It doesn't matter, and you can attach any kind of scope on this RPG because it has this Picatinny rail. As for javelins are guided missiles, and basically you have to lock on target, and then the missile will strike the target. And there's like no way to distract this missile. It's very good, and it has kind of good range. NLAW has smaller range than Javelin, but it's still very efficient. As for Stugna, it's a laser-guided missile designed by Ukrainian factory called KB Luch. It's located in Kiev. I have a lot of friends from that factory. And it has a range of 2 plus kilometers. So it's very precise. So you can actually use this missile not only against tanks and other vehicles, moving targets, but you can also target stationary targets like positions, or for example, I don't know, some kind of fortifications. And the beauty of this missile is that you can use this laser beam to guide this missile into a small window, as small as probably 30 by 30 centimeters. So you can basically guide the missile inside of a structure and kill everybody inside. It's very beautiful. And also, Russian tanks use their modern protection from laser guided missiles. So whenever you are using a laser guided missile, you send this laser beam onto your target. And Russian tanks have specific sensors that receive this laser beam, and they automatically turn the turret of the tank in the direction of this laser beam, which is kind of cool. But in case of Stugna, there's a specific way to trick the tank. So the missile is getting shot in the direction of tank, and like 2 seconds before the impact, the laser beam is getting turned on, and it guides the missile during those final 2 seconds into the tank. So the tank operator, the turret operator, doesn't have any chance to shoot at the operator of this missile. And also, Stugna, it's not like I'm advertising, but I know a lot about it because I participated in training of our operators. The Stugna is often used for surveillance because you can put this very module like somewhere on the elevated terrain, and then there's like 100-meter cord that you can use in order to hide under the ground somewhere, and use the monitor to basically monitor your enemies, what they're doing, because Stugna is equipped with different infrared and thermal vision cameras. So it was often used as for surveillance, and you don't have to stay near Stugna in order to shoot it. That's beauty of this missile. So yeah, we love it very much.
Awesome. I know we've got a buildup of questions from viewers, so let's hit 2 or 3 of those, and then if anybody on the panel has any questions, don't hesitate to jump in, and we'll make room.
Yep. Yeah, we've got a few questions to catch up on, like you said. So the first one is from Fred Saradel. I hope I've pronounced that right. Sorry if I haven't. So he says, what do you hear about Russia transferring equipment from the rest of the world? I'll take it from Russian territory to be diverted to Ukraine. Does the flight bans hinder this, do you think?
I've heard one of the gossips. Again, I cannot confirm it, but it was like 1 month ago. So when they learned that they need more equipment, more tanks to be transferred to Ukraine because they're losing a lot of them. So there were like huge storages of their tanks in Russia. And those storages were, so let's say their corrupted officers have sold a lot of parts from those tanks. Some of those parts contained precious metals, and other parts were simply, very valuable. So they've sold a lot of those parts. And when they decided to resurrect those vehicles, those tanks, they understood that like 9 tanks out of 10 either don't move or don't shoot. So there was this case of one of the commanders of Russian tank brigade shooting himself because he couldn't, follow this order. And again, I cannot confirm it, but this was in some intercepted conversation that was recorded by our security service.
Wow.
He was probably aiming for someone else and missed.
Yeah, it's true
Yeah,
because
himself,
because there's nothing worse than a Soviet-made PM 9mm pistol. My teacher always told me that it's so bad that you can't even shoot yourself.
Along those same lines, actually, I was watching a video earlier on today, and I can't remember what the vehicle was called, but they've dragged out these older vehicles. I think they're from the 70s and 80s, and it's got a twin gun on it somehow, and apparently they're using that as a substitute for infantry support for the tanks. Have you heard about that at all, or seen anything about it? Or
Yeah, anti-air guns. We were talking, I think, about Tunguska or something like that.
something like yeah.
Yeah. So basically, it's a turret with twin guns. We are using those a lot as well, and they were efficient against airplanes in 60s probably.
Yeah.
Because those airplanes weren't flying as fast and as high as today.
Yeah, the commentator was saying that they're literally scraping the barrel now because they're running out of even with the best equipment. Because I mean, a lot of the T-70s have already been destroyed, and all the sort of like 80s and 90s era BMPs and all the rest of it are getting wiped out. So yeah, they're really starting. Sounds like they're starting to scrape the barrel a little bit. That's at least what the commentator was saying. So
Yeah, it's true. And those anti-air guns are often used for supporting personnel by Ukrainian forces as well. And what's interesting is that our soldiers that were captured by Russians actually taught them how to use those guns because they were like proficient in this.
There we go. Okay, so we've got another question from Cats, and she says, "Do the soldiers in the steel plant, Sevastopol steel plant, have food and supplies, etc.? So, are they keeping them supplied? Are they able to get any kind of supplies through to them at all, or the ones that are left?"
It remains a mystery for me, but we've had this interview recently published in our media interview with the chief of Azov Steel. It's a civilian person. It's like a CEO of Azov Steel, and they explained that they were preparing for this war for years, so that's why they kept a lot of supplies specifically stored in Azov Steel for such case. For example, if this factory will be used for protecting civilians or as a shelter for civilians. So basically, they have some supplies that were stored there by workers of this Azov Steel, but I cannot tell you how much supplies they have currently.
Okay, yeah. I've got a question for Robsky, and I was actually watching a little bit of a short documentary about this a couple of days ago, and he says, saw the analysis of one of the destroyed advanced T-90 tanks. The theory is that the Ukrainians disabled it, but the Russians then destroyed it by retreating. But it's still a Ukrainian kill. Russia worried, but the Ukrainians get them. So, what have you heard about this? I mean, do you know it was a Ukrainian kill, or was it the Russians that finished it? What do you think happened?
I think it's bad because we cannot take it and use it against Russians.
It's still a destroyed tank, isn't it? It's a T-90. But this is the thing that gets me. They're starting to bring out their big guns, the T-90s. But it just goes to show the vulnerability of even modern tanks now of manpad launched missiles. Because they just can't be able to stand against them. It just goes to show, I think.
Yeah, it's true. Basically, we had a lot of T-72 tanks created here in Ukraine, produced on our factories, because we have 3 tank factories in Ukraine. Yeah, Russians simply took T-72 and they created modernized version of this tank in their Ural factory, which is currently called T-90, but it's the same T-72, which is not as good as T-64.
Yeah, and they don't seem to learn the lesson as well, because they've still got the ammunition stored in a carousel, I believe, in the turret, even in the T-90, haven't they? They're just like the T-72s, right?
Yeah, it's true.
Yeah. Okay, so we've got another question. So we've got a couple more questions.
Well, say, let's let Dave's been waiting for a little bit. Let's let him jump in.
Yep.
And then I know we've got 2 super chats. We'll roll over to those because we might have another one built up by then. Over to you, Dave.
Sure thing. The New York Times has claimed that streets are being repaved, power is on, and cafes are reopening. Bucha, a symbol of death in Ukraine, is showing signs of life. Are there signs of recovery and healing going on there and elsewhere?
That is so true. So almost a week after liberating Hostomel and Bucha, I was driving on the street, and I literally saw like 20 people wearing those vests of services, like local services, cleaning the mess out of streets, which was beautiful. So they cleaned like streets in like a week, and you should see the mess that was there like exactly after the liberation, because streets were covered in different fragments and litter and garbage, and you could basically puncture your tire like anytime. And they've cleaned those streets. They are removing all signs of those battles that took place in Bucha, in Hostomel. And today I saw even my favorite restaurant in Bucha. We were driving through Bucha with our colleagues, and to my surprise, it was open. Life returns to those cities. Actually, I think I gotta make a video about it, because it's amazing. And actually, Bucha, Irpin, Hostomel, they are very modern little towns. They are very beautiful. There's like a lot of parks, and except some destroyed buildings here and there, and a bunch of burnt cars here and there, like on the streets. It's still very beautiful and amazing, and I gotta make some footage from those towns.
Yeah, absolutely. We want to see that. I was wondering what your order was. What restaurant is it?
So it's a restaurant in the very heart of Bucha. There's this BMD. It's kind of memorial for Soviet soldiers who died in Afghanistan, and we memorized those soldiers also because there were a lot of Ukrainians among those Soviet soldiers. So we have respect for that. Of course, we don't have respect for Soviet regime that sent those men to face their death. And there's a restaurant. I believe it doesn't have a name, but like everybody knows it. It's in the very heart of Bucha, near that memorial. And there were like lighting, today, and it was open. It was cool.
Well, what do you order when you're there? Is it like a curry house, ice cream parlor?
Well, I'm not really into visiting restaurants currently while there's a war. I think it's unfair to my comrades who don't have this opportunity. But after the war, I will definitely visit this restaurant.
So the supply lines must be safe. You must for those cafes and restaurants. I assume they get a lot of their produce made locally, but they probably can't now. Does more stuff get imported?
Those supply lines are completely safe, because Bucha is like 5-6 kilometers away from Kiev. They have like everything. So they have their water lines and electricity lines repaired like every day. So like more and more houses receive all those values and goods of civilization. So yeah, life returns.
It looks like
Awesome.
we have a couple of supers built up that we need to get taken care of. So I'm going to hand off to Aimee really quickly to hit that.
Oh, yes, please. Thank you so much. Oh, we got to set another one. All right. Yes, we do. I'm going to go ahead with the super chats. We've got one from Skits Crasher for $2 American, says just because. Thank you so very much. We've got Level 70 for Canadian $6.99, says, what is happening in Melitopol? Russians on trains are being blown up. We have Annette Wagner for $10 American, says, can you comment on the GPS being jammed on the ground in Ukraine? I saw a report this week, really frightening news. If it's topic off limits, I understand. Welcome also, Annette, to a new member as welcome to the Shill Apprentice. Thank you so much. And we've got another super chat from Level 70 for Canadian $13.99. Major General Kirilo Budanov predicted that the turning point in the war will be August and end at the end of the year. He also said there is a coup in Russia going on now. Any comment? Thank you so much, everyone.
Yeah, so basically, Budanov that was his prediction. So it's like more or less official information based on our calculations. So as I said, optimistically, it's August. As for trains in Melitopol, so we have a lot of guerrilla warfare that is happening at this point in those occupied areas. In Melitopol, there are cases of relatives of Ukrainian soldiers that live in those occupied territories being kidnapped by Russian invaders. And yeah, I think that now things have gone personal for our partisans that are fighting in there. As for GPS, Russians use a lot of their electronic warfare vehicles that were designed specifically, to disrupt our communications, and they jam GPS systems used by our drones, for example. But it's not like they can use them forever. So whenever this electronic warfare machine, we call it them REB, whenever they are active, we can basically locate those machines and destroy them using our artillery.
Does it jam their systems as well, though?
It depends. It depends on the frequency and stuff like that. So basically, if you want to jam some kind of radio communication, you can you can create a radio transmission on that very frequency. So people using the same frequency will not hear each other, and they are using same stuff for GPS. There's this Russian REB, that electronic warfare machine called Krasnukha, that is very valuable, and Ukrainian armed forces were able to capture one of those. They were like top secret, and it was a great achievement by our soldiers. I think they captured it. They have captured one like 1 month ago. So yeah, those even those GPS modules that are used like in our drones or used by our soldiers, they get jammed from time to time. Russians use those electronic warfare vehicles very often. But the risk of using them is that we can locate them. And of course, we can destroy them. We can destroy them, for example, using our M777 howitzers that were given to us by our American allies. And the beauty of those howitzers is that the range of those howitzers is 30 kilometers. And the longest range of Russian cannons is about 18 kilometers. which is again very good in terms of not being afraid of counter battery measures that are provided by Russians. So they simply cannot get our howitzers because they can work on longer range, and they basically can use their multiple launch systems in order to get them. But yeah, that's kind of more expensive.
Okay, was that all of the questions?
Yeah, I've got a couple of viewer questions still
Okay.
to go, if that's
Yeah.
okay. Catch
Go
up
ahead.
on. No problem. Got one from the People's History of Us, beg your pardon. This is a very good question, actually. It's something that I wanted to talk about anyway. Does Russian army committing crimes and the insanitary conditions of Russian positions indicate a breakdown in military discipline? Good NGOs, I think you mean good NCOs, don't let this happen. What do you think, Starsky?
Russians don't know what is NCOs. So
Or NGOs?
yeah, I think that my friend from Belarus will support me in this, because according to Russian, I'd say, military culture, let's call it this way, their NCO is basically the same as a soldier,
Yeah.
as a private. Because they simply don't understand the importance of sergeants in the army. So it's like they point a finger at some conscript and say, "You will be a sergeant," and the conscript is like, "Okay," and there's nothing, there's nothing regarding to, whether this person is able to handle all this, whether this person have abilities or something like that, because sergeant must know everything about his troops, about his squad or platoon. He must know all the problems, he must know all the needs of his troops, and he should be able to report all that to officer and make the life of his officer as easy as possible, because officer has a lot of other responsibilities. And in Ukraine, we understand the importance of sergeant corps. So in my brigade, for example, our sergeants are, of course, the toughest of all living beings, probably, in the National Guard. Russians don't understand that. They, they're officers, and that's basically helping us a lot. So their officers basically perform duties of their sergeants regarding discipline issues and regarding all of that. And also they are performing their own duties, planning paperwork. That's why their officers are often overloaded, and basically that's why they drink. So they are overloaded with information, with everything that is going on in their unit. And yeah, of course, with such a mass, in the officer's head, he can easily forget something. And yeah, that's why they have a lot of problems. So they don't understand it. They don't understand why NCOs are so important.
Yeah, having my father was a sergeant in the British Army, and I've lived around soldiers pretty much most of my life, and I think it's the same with pretty much all NATO countries' military. The NCOs really are the sort of the core and the backbone of the army, particularly the British Army, and they often say in the British Army that the sergeants are the ones that run the army. But it seems to me that in the Russian military, exactly what you're saying, that the officers seem to have to micromanage everything. There didn't seem to be any kind of, because all NCOs in the British Army, I know for sure, I can't answer for the rest, they have to go through qualifications in order to actually get their rank. They can't just be picked and there you go. They have to go through some pretty intensive training. and they have to, have quite a lot of experience before they could even be considered for even the rank of a sergeant or a sergeant major or any of those sort of those ranks. And also, the question also was about the insanitary conditions of the Russian positions. I mean, I've seen some videos of what's left of where the Russians have pulled out, and the trenches are just covered in garbage, right?
Yeah, it's true. And we were talking about it just today. So I brought journalists to that school that was used as artillery position by Russians, and they could basically see. So in Ukrainian field manuals, you should have your toilet like far away from your position, like hundreds of meters away, and it doesn't matter whether it's like front lines or I don't know, your drill camp. You always have your toilet like miles away from your tent.
Well, preferably in a Russian trench.
Yeah, I agree.
Don't shit where you eat.
Yeah, and in case of Russians, they simply take a shit wherever they sleep. I'm not lying. I saw that myself. So in our barracks, they were sleeping in a bed, and like next to the bed there were like our metal lockers, and behind those lockers they were basically taking shit because they created a toilet. And to my surprise, they were not using like actual toilets that were in our barracks, and yeah, we have some good toilets, I don't know. So they were taking shit like a meter away from their bed, which is crazy.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I know in the British military, you can actually be put on a charge for leaving sign of when you're out in the field and you're in battle or in a war zone. You could actually be put on a charge for leaving sign when you're out and about out in the field. They take it very, very, very seriously. You keep your positions tidy and you don't leave any sign when you leave. So they take that very, very seriously. But anyway, let's get on to the next question.
Yeah, to be fair, those Russian soldiers might not be shitting next to their own bed. They might be going across the room and shitting next to somebody else's bed and going back.
We'll never know.
Yeah, exactly. They're not talking about Amber Heard now.
DNA testing. DNA testing.
Oh no, please.
Don't go there, Matt. Don't go there.
No, I'm not going there. Trust me, I'm not. No. We've got a little follow-on actually from PW6805, and he said earlier on it's about the T90 thing. As a Swede, I'm curious if it really was an AT4 shot that took out the T90 on the video clip. To me, it looked more like another tank took it out. Down to Rob's. Oh no, that's it. I mean, my opinion of that is that who cares? The tank's taken out, it's dead. If the Russians had to finish it off, then so be it. It's gone. It's taken out. What do you think, Starsky?
Yeah, I agree. So basically, it doesn't matter if I don't know, some space destroyer flew to Earth and destroyed this tank. It doesn't matter. It's dead.
Yeah.
Yeah,
it's not about scoring goals, is it? It's about winning the war. We don't care how it happens as long as that tank is safe. But like you said, it's a shame that you couldn't capture it.
Yeah, so it's like again, we are disrupting their supplies, and
right.
Yeah, they may have like a lot of tanks, but if they can't move or shoot because they lack fuel, that's okay.
Exactly. So just one final question I've got to catch up, if I may. Got one from Peter Croxford. What did you think of the fake Russian videos of them destroying 777 howitzers yesterday? I spend a lot of time telling YouTubers to stop spreading this obvious fake news. Even the Sun newspaper posted it. So apparently, the 777 howitzers were getting destroyed. Have you heard anything about that?
I don't have that information. I didn't see that video, unfortunately. But yeah, thank you for telling me about that. I gotta check it out.
Yeah, I haven't heard anything about that myself. So there you go. I think that's all we've got for the viewer questions at the moment.
Excellent. If it's okay, if I can just jump in real fast with some super chats that we got backed up. We've got We have one from Rudy Rudisil for $2 Says Starsky set me up. National Guard call sign Jane. Ron Dorman for $10 had no message, but if you have a question or anything, we can highlight that and get that taken care of for you right away if you would like. Thank you so much. And then we have from Paolo Corradini for €20 says, on a lighter note, could you tell us how Ukraine felt about Kalush Orchestra's victory at Eurovision last Saturday? God bless and Slava Ukraini. Thank you so much.
Okay, so Sergeant Jane, because she's a sergeant, she serves in my beloved brigade. So she is she, at least from what I remember, she was a squad leader in my brigade, and she is amazing because she's tough like steel. So her soldiers are crazy about her, actually, because she's a great commander. She's like 1 meter 50 centimeters tall, you know, but she's like living engine. You know what I mean? And yeah, and every soldier of her squad simply loves her because she spends all of her time with her soldiers. She's training them, and she's probably one of the best warriors that I know personally. And yeah, my my colleague Max made a video about her. I'm not sure whether our National Guard was able to translate it in English, but I hope they were. If not, I will translate it myself and put it on my channel. So yeah, she's great. And yeah, regarding Kalush, well, we are all happy for their victory. Of course, we don't understand our judges who didn't give, you know, any respect, I would say, to Polish singer, because it was great. His performance was great, in my opinion. And yeah, I think everybody did best, but I must say that the best performance was made by Russian team, and I hope that they will do it again on the next Eurovision.
By staying away.
Yeah, exactly. It was great. We all appreciate it. A lot of people say that Ukraine won this contest because of war, and it has nothing to do with
That's bullshit. That's bullshit.
Music.
No way.
Oh yeah.
What I can say personally is that Eurovision is not only about music, because music is known to not only influence people's mind, but also it's known for being, you know, like
bringing people together, solidarity.
Yeah, like being on the same wave as community, as international community. And music is known for feeling same problems as other people. And in my opinion, if music helps, you know, in terms of raising people awareness and stuff like that, it's beautiful, because people of art, you know, they are not just staying away from politics. They are actually participating in creating better future and bringing attention to, you know, the biggest problems that we are experiencing currently in our world, and this war is one of them. So I think that yeah, it's great that people all around the world feel the same as we feel.
Well, it's quite interesting about the Eurovision Song Contest that after the collapse of the Soviet Union, a lot of people were complaining, oh, it's got too political, because all the ex-Soviet countries were voting for each other and nobody was voting for the UK. So the UK was getting pissed off about it. So yeah, so everyone was complaining that it was very, very political. But I think in this case, I mean, it would have been impolite for not to win, you know? They had to win it.
I can tell you one thing. So one of our Eurovision winners, Jamala, she won with her song 1944. and this song was dedicated to a forceful deportation of Crimean Tatars, and she's a Crimean Tatar. They were deported by Russian communists from Crimea forcefully in 1944. So like almost 2 million of Crimean Tatar were taken away from their homes without the right of return, and their homes were basically taken by people who now claim that Crimea was always Russian. And you know, I think that you cannot simply sing the way she sang during that contest, during that show, without feeling this. So she basically, like, you gotta hear her song. If you didn't do that so far, you gotta hear that song, because, like, literally her pain is in this song, and yeah, that's why she won, I think.
I mean, one of the interesting things was I was on a stream the other night with two Americans, and I was talking about Eurovision, and they were going, "What? What's that? Europe? Do you know where Europe is? You know, fucking Americans. You know what they're like." So anyway, so that means that Ukraine will be hosting next year. Now, what do you think about that? I mean, are those realistic thoughts? I mean, Zelensky thinks they're going to do it, but do you think that's realistic?
I hope so. I hope so.
Well, obviously, because you want to go.
So yeah, I think that we will host it, and I believe and I hope that the war will be finished by that time, and I think that this show will be amazing, literally, because
I think it will be great.
Yeah, I think that we will host like all kinds of guests here, and actually we do that all the time. For example, a couple of years ago we had this Champions League here in Kiev. I think there was a match between Liverpool and Barcelona, something like that. So there were like a lot of football fans from all around the world, and so Ukrainian hotels decided to raise prices for for renting rooms and stuff. So the prices went sky high, and Ukrainians, because of that shit, Ukrainians decided to give all those fans shelter for free. So I've been like, one of my guests was from I think he was from Luxembourg. Yeah, originally from Morocco. He lives in Luxembourg, and yeah, I was happy to to give him a room for free, because Ukrainians are friendly people, and yeah, we don't care much about money and stuff, unlike those those hotels. So I think that they received a good lesson that day.
So it looks like we've got a few more super chats built up, so I'm gonna hand it off to Aimee to take care of those, and then we're gonna hit Dave.
Sure, sounds like a plan. Thank you so much. We've got one from Level 70 for Canadian $6.99. Says, any news when freshly NATO-trained Ukrainian reservists will enter the war? Then we have Christina Forsgaard for €9.99. Says, thank you. Stay strong, Slava Ukraini. Congrats, Ukraine, on winning the Eurovision Song Contest. Love from Finland. Then we have ZH for $5 American. Says, are the Ukrainian soldiers in the field learning from their colleagues who were earlier trained on American-supplied howitzers and other new weapons? Thank you so much, everyone.
Thank you. So regarding our reserves, even if I knew, I wouldn't tell you this information, of course. Yeah, but they're preparing. And as for those artillerists who learned how to operate those M777s, yeah, so basically in Ukraine, first we are training instructors that are later train actual soldiers. So our instructors, I think we have like 300 of instructors that passed through this training process, and now they are training our soldiers. So that's how it works in Ukraine.
Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and hand it over to Dave then.
Sweet. I was going to say a bit tongue-in-cheek, but not all of us were happy Ukraine won. Some of us came second. So I'm not bitter or anything. You had a great track. we were just drunk that night for about 10 minutes.
Dave, I gotta tell you something incredible. So I have a print screen from some of Russian newspaper that actually published an article regarding this Eurovision. So you gotta understand that Russians were mad, and they also and despite despising Europe and Ukraine, they were all watching Eurovision. So this article basically it claims that Ukraine only had like 4th place, and the winner was basically the UK.
That's mad. I thought you were going to say that people were, in Russia were trying to vote us to win. I mean, I can only assume people were just trying to type Ukraine and accidentally put the UK instead, because
yeah, could be. But it's press. It's a newspaper from Ural, and yeah, it basically claims that the UK has won the contest, and Ukraine was only 4th.
No, that's just daft. It wasn't even my question actually. You mentioned scoring goals, Matt. The Premier League ends this weekend, with Manchester City likely to pip Liverpool to the title. I can only assume sports would have stopped unanimously across Ukraine at the start of the war. Did you follow any sports at all in Ukraine before the war?
I mostly follow boxing, because you got to understand that Ukraine is a land of boxers. So every teenager either attends some kind of boxing gym or wrestling gym. And wrestlers, as a boxer, I respect and hate wrestlers at the same time, because they are stronger than boxers in street fight.
But they don't fight real in life. It's just that must drive you nuts.
Yeah. So we are following boxing, of course, a lot. And one of the biggest scandals that we had here was that famous Ukrainian boxers Usyk and Lomachenko, they were actually kind of pro-Russian before this invasion. So Lomachenko posted some videos that were made by Russian soldiers in his Instagram, and he was highly criticized for that, because there were the same people that basically annexed Crimea. And Usyk also, he lived in Crimea, and together with his wife and stuff. After this invasion, they joined territorial defense. So yeah, they changed their views, and we are happy that now they are like normal people, like everybody else here.
Yeah, I thought you were going to say boxing, because it is very big in Ukraine. I just wanted to throw this at you as well. According
you
to various different,
you basically open Wikipedia on greatest boxers of all the times, and you see all kinds of blue and yellow flags like on the top of the list.
He's not wrong.
Yeah, I know Ukraine have got quite a good record with the Olympic boxing, and they've had they've won quite a few different medals over the years and stuff like that. So yeah,
definitely.
Yeah, Lomachenko started he started in amateur boxing in Olympic Games, and yeah, he's a great guy. He's very talented and professional, and yeah, we can now proud of him actually. And again, like every teenager in Ukraine is a freaking boxer. So yeah, we have some amazing street fights happening like near bars and stuff like that. You gotta see.
Have
that.
you seen just the general person, the general bloke in Ukraine? They're fucking huge.
Yeah, it's true, and we're all into some kind of martial arts here and there because 90s in Ukraine were tough. We've had a lot of mafia and stuff like that, and you had to protect yourself. I
would say, Starsky, there's an argument to be made that the North American stereotype of the big, tough Russian from the early 80s Cold War in the movies and stuff is more Ukrainian, to be honest.
Yeah.
It's true. Unfortunately, it's true because we've had some tough mafiosi here. Some of them died, obviously. Some of them became pro-Russian politician, known in Ukraine as opposition platform called For Life. So basically, they were mostly pro-Russian, and they were mafiosi, like known mafiosi, like people who actually killed other people. And after this war, those parties were banned in Ukraine for collaboration with the Russians because Russian collaborationists in occupied territories, they mostly come from those parties. They are representatives of those pro-Russian parties here.
I'd love to just throw something out there as well, because I think Vladimir Klitschko and was it the Klitschko brothers have gone out to fight. So there's something circulating in the papers. I don't know whether it's true. He's tempted Vladimir, that is, to call out Tyson Fury for one last dance at the age of 46. What do you reckon of that?
Oh my God! I think that will be like a battle of a century. Yeah, I would love to see that.
Yeah,
and
me too.
I have huge respect for Tyson Fury. He's great boxer and he's talented. I think there are people who train hard, and there are people who they're natural born boxers. As for Tyson Fury, he is training hard. I know that because he claimed that he had no money, so he had to fight to be able to feed his family. I think is beautiful. Same thing, for example, in football regarding. Oh my God, I'm not very much into football, so forgive me. Regarding Messi and regarding Leonardo. So Messi is, he is talented. He was like he had those abilities, and Leonardo was training hard because I saw his pictures, like when he was a teenager and he was ugly and stuff, and the girls didn't like him much, but now he's a superstar, freaking superstar, because he trained hard. He put a lot of efforts into becoming what he is now. And Messi, yeah, that's why I don't like Messi.
Hey, Matt, did you have a question, or was that viewer questions?
Yeah, we've got a few viewer questions. So unless you've got something else you want to move on to,
I just wanted to ask something pretty quickly. Sorry to get serious, but past week you put up a community post about Russians deporting Tartars to Crimea and claiming it's always been Russian, and that TV program talking about they should eliminate Ukraine, not call anything Ukraine. And obviously they haven't hesitated to kill civilians and force them out of areas, basically collect and deport them. Do you think their ultimate plan is to try and resettle Ukraine with Russian citizens so that they don't have to worry about the Ukrainian threat in the end?
Before answering this question, I gotta apologize, Leonardo. I confused Ronaldo with Ronaldo. Again, I suck at football again. But yeah, as for
probably why we beat you 4-0 in the Euros. Oh, sorry.
True. So, as for Russians, I think that they might try to deport a lot of civilians from occupied territories, and that's their known strategy. So we know that Putin uses a lot of those strategies that were developed by Stalin in 40s, and we can expect that. So we've had, like, again, almost a month ago, we had information about more than 6,000 civilians being transferred to Russia. So basically they were deported, which is a war crime. They were transferred to Russia, to those filtration camps, and those filtration camps are still active in Russia. There's more than 60 filtration camps in Russia, designed specifically for Ukrainians. And I've had that's information from international journalists. So Journalist Society made an investigation, and yeah, they learned about as much as 60 filtration camps in Russia. And some of those camps are very distant. Some of them are even closer to Canada than they are to Ukraine. So they're basically like on the far east, in the area of like Vladivostok, you know. So we can expect that. Of course, it will take huge resources from Russians. On the other hand, if they are planning to, you know, to be able to hold those territories, like it happened with Crimea, yeah, I think one of their strategies will be to bring Russian settlers and take homes of those people who were deported to Russia.
Oh, yeah, those are gulags. They can call them what they want, but those are gulags. I'm gonna go ahead and hand over to you, Matt, to get a couple of viewer questions out of the way, and then I know DKG had a question after that.
Lovely. Yep. Yeah, I've got a couple more questions to catch up on. Another one from Cats. Thank you very much. She says, I'll tell you, before I ask this question, I'll give you a little bit of a background. There was a young Russian soldier who shot and killed a 62-year-old man riding his bike. I can't quite remember where it was, but this is the first of the Russian soldiers that have actually been put on trial for, at least in this case, a war crime. 21-year-old Russian soldier. So the question goes like this. She says, can you ask Starsky, did the young guy get prosecuted for war crimes? It was adjourned yesterday. He was 21, admitted to the crime. The guy was 62, his poor wife. So have you any ideas of what's happening with this guy? Is he being prosecuted? Is he being sentenced, or any more?
I hope so.
Yeah, so this man was killed in Bucha, from what I remember. And again, there was a video that was shared by Russian so-called debunkers of this. So they were claiming that all of those bodies that were scattered on the streets of Bucha were either actors or mannequins or stuff. And that man was among them. There was a video of that was made by a car driver driving past that man. And of course, because the rear view mirror distorts the image, there was like impression that this man moved. So Russian debunkers went crazy, and they were sharing this video a lot, claiming that yeah, we are using actors. And later there was a bunch of satellite images published showing this poor man on the same street for like a week. Yeah. So I gotta learn more about this very soldier that is being prosecuted. But I have information about that another soldier who was prosecuted for shooting his MLRS at civilian structures. But you know, the good thing is that we are already, you know, there are already cases of prosecuting those war criminals. They are already happening, and again, I think that the whole world can look at at those cases, we have like all evidence. We have like huge web portal dedicated to war crimes performed by Russians. So, for example, people who were victims of Russian war criminals, they can leave their message on that website. And yeah, only around Kyiv, there were like 10,000 cases registered, according to our Minister of Internal Affairs, which is a lot.
I mean, these people saying it was all faked. I mean, we've all seen the pictures and the news reports along that one particular street when, as Ukrainian soldiers reoccupied Bucha. And there was at least 2 that we saw that had been clearly shot from their bikes, wasn't there? And there's one guy on the side of the road had obviously been killed because he's still mangled up with his bike, and then another one further on down the street. So how they could possibly say it's all fake is just absolute gibberish and nonsense. But of course, the Russian trolls have got to do their propaganda.
Well, they had the satellite images before they reoccupied.
Yeah, absolutely.
And also, you don't have to. You shouldn't forget that video of a defender. Like the focus was on him, and then the rockets come down, and there was a family that was trying to escape of, I believe, a man, a woman, and 2 kids. And later, it was shown like a picture of they're like carrying luggage, and they were all dead. So try explaining that away.
Yeah, they can't. There's just too much evidence. Too much evidence.
Yeah.
Way too much. Yeah, it's just the trolls have just got to do what they got to do. I guess they're going to try anti-propaganda, aren't they? So it is what it is.
Speaking of guys, before we continue there, speaking of trolls, it's been a very light night in the chat, and I'd like to thank everybody who came out to the channel and watched tonight, because I mean, the live chat has been great. We've almost had nothing to do moderation wise. Thanks everybody. That's great.
That is because Russia has limited their access to YouTube, and of course, a lot of their troll farms were eliminated by YouTube moderation, and their agency, their censorship agency, called Roskompozor. So they claim that now YouTube becomes an extremist network. So there are gossips that they are preparing to isolate Russia from YouTube at all.
Well, it also means that the Russians do not have the Shills on their radar, which is a bit sad. We're insignificant.
I've seen sort of similar kind of videos on YouTube now popping up, because obviously I talk about and read about what's happening in Ukraine a lot currently at the moment. So I take every opportunity when I can, if it even comes even close to contravening YouTube's community standards, then I report it. So I would encourage anybody else to do exactly the same thing, because we need this horseshit off the internet as much as possible. But they're at the end of the day, they're still losing the this side of the war as well, because this is what it's propaganda. They're losing that very, very badly as well. The whole world's against them, so it is what it is.
Well, I wouldn't hesitate to say at this point that the subscribers only mode that we're now allowed to turn on in our YouTube chat was partially fueled by the onslaught, because it really helps, because then we can ban user. And when you're trying to log in this many sock accounts with bots and stuff on Google, they can track IP addresses and stuff. It's not that easy. Right? We're not talking about some flat earth idiot that's just making a sock account to show up and go yada, yada, yada. This is an onslaught, right? And yeah, it was it wasn't as hard to deal with as you would think, due to the location and IP addresses dictating location, right?
All right.
It looks like we're coming up on the hour, Starsky. Did you want to keep going, or do you need to head off to bed?
No, I'm fine. And
Okay,
by the way, I want to tell you something very cool. So today, Ukraine is, it was actually yesterday, so we were celebrating the day of Vyshivanka. and Vyshyvanka is Ukrainian traditional shirt. It's very famous for, like, for example, Scottish people have their kilts, and each kilt have some specific pattern. So in Ukraine, each Vyshyvanka, it also has some specific pattern, and this pattern is specific for each region, and it's very cool. For example, if you know that your grandma or your grandparents come from one of the regions of Ukraine, you can find this shirt with very specific pattern that belongs to that region, and it's very cool. So you gotta Google it if you want, the day of Vyshyvanka. And yeah, it's very cool actually. A lot of people wear those traditional shirts and simply go out. Yeah, it's very nice.
I was actually
Nice.
a little bit ahead of you and already linked Dick an image of Ursula von der Leyen, I guess. She was like supporting you by wearing the outfit too. So if Dick could maybe put that on.
Actually, there is a famous photo of a singer of The Doors. It's an old photo, but it's actual photo of that singer. Yeah, that's Vyshyvanka. Actually, it's there's two versions, male and female versions. They kind of different. So the singer of The Doors wearing Ukrainian Vyshyvanka. It's very cool.
Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Oh, I didn't recognize that. Third say we've got a couple of supers on deck. They're getting a little bit stale. Did we want to hit those, Aimee, and then we can get to DKG?
Yes, please. That would be great. Thank you. We've got one from Estelle C for £5 sterling. Says, I saw you met one of my countrymen, Dave McSavage, and said the Irish are tough, operator Starsky. Lol, I had to laugh. Thank you so much. And then we have Brian for €5 said, are the numbers of soldiers leveling up between Ukraine and Russia, or are there still more Russian troops? Thanks. Thank you so much, everyone.
David McSavage, yeah, I met him here in Kiev, and we've had a trip to Moshun. It's a village near the area of Irpin, Bucha, and what is specific about this village? First of all, my brigade took combat in this village. So after that first day of the attack, my company tactical group was operating in the village of Moshun. They were fighting against Russians. And another thing is that almost 2,000 houses from 3,000 houses that are there in the village were destroyed by Russian artillery. And what amazed David was that he said, from what I see, he said, they were specifically targeting house by house by house, in a row. So they were like destroying house after house after house on purpose. There's no other explanation on how all of those houses were precisely destroyed. And the people are still returning to Moshun. He was given onions by one of our local grandmas, and those homegrown onions are very good, by the way, in Ukraine. And then we went to Bucha. I wanted to show them that location of the mass grave. Unfortunately, the church was already closed, so this mass grave is located on the territory of church, and it was closed for visitors. I'm not sure why. Probably there's still some kind of investigation. But yeah, I think that you gotta follow David McSavage on his Instagram, on his YouTube, and he is going to make this video probably sometime in the future. As for Russian troops, so their number is decreasing from what I know. as of yesterday, we have eliminated more than 28,000 Russian soldiers since beginning of the invasion. I talked to this analytics guy from the armed forces today, and he said that there's more, actually. So the way we are counting their losses is like this. For example, there's 10 BTRs, okay, 10 Russian vehicles. We have a footage of them being destroyed. So we count the number of the crew, including the number of the troops that this BTR is carrying, and divide this number of men by 2, because there might be some kind of statistical error. And yeah, so you can understand that their number may be kind of bigger, much bigger. Yeah, so I think that Russians are claiming that Ukrainian forces have lost like 30,000 men. Again, they claim that they have already destroyed like 5 times more tanks that we actually have in Ukraine. Yeah, our crew members always joke about it. They say like, we are 5 times dead already. Yeah, they keep claiming that they have destroyed all of our airplanes. Again, yesterday we published a video of our jet fighters flying very low over the ground, like 5 meters from the ground.
I remember those.
Yeah, it's amazing. Those guys are crazy.
You just respawn at the start of the mission again, don't you? Oh no, it's a video game.
Oh yeah, I saw a British military analyst was estimating. They were saying that the British intelligence are estimating that Russia might have actually lost up to about 1/3 of their total military strength. That's the regular strength, that is, not excluding reserves and stuff like that, which is a huge amount to lose. I mean, considering the amount of people that they lost in Afghanistan, they seem to have lost more in 3 months in Ukraine than they have in the entire 6 years in Afghanistan. It's incredible.
Yeah, it's true. I can confirm that. And actually, I laughed so much when Kadyrovites that captured our base on, I think, 3rd day of invasion. It was empty base, partially destroyed. And they claimed that they have killed like 2,500 Ukrainian National Guards, which was almost 11 times more than actual number of people that were protecting our base. So during that first day of attack, we've had less than 200 men defending airport and the base against 35 Russian helicopters, including transport helicopters.
Incredible.
And their fighter jets. And basically, yeah, Russians failed that day because, first of all, their battalion, that airborne battalion that landed in Hostomel, was eliminated that very evening by Ukrainian airbornes, and they didn't reach their military goal because they weren't able to land their cargo airplanes that were coming from Rostov because we have destroyed the runway with our artillery.
Yeah. I mean, myself, I include this absolutely in my story. I think many of us actually underestimated at the beginning of the war as to exactly what the fight that Ukraine has put up right from the start. I mean, I literally thought that the Russians were going to achieve victory probably within a week or two. You know, I think that's what Russia was saying. They're hoping to take Kiev within 3 days, and I think a lot of us thought, you know, this is awful. Ukraine don't stand a chance, but holy crap, have they put up a fight? I mean, you know, grossly underestimated what they did.
It's okay. It's okay, incredible. Bro. We are not angry at all.
I never doubted them.
Yeah,
Never.
I have to admit, at first I was like, for the love of God, just look on the map, look at the territories and stuff. This cannot be fair. But you look at the reports now, and it's it's almost comical. It's like America invading Mexico and finding it difficult, right? It's I don't mean to put a comical stance on things because obviously it's not, but you know what I'm saying, people, right? You know, it was shocking to a lot of us that, especially myself being Canadian, I'm not 100% up on Western, Eastern, and so on European relations and stuff all the time, right? You know, I am loving the way this is playing out because Ukraine is showing Russia, you know, literally with only financial and a few, you know, artillery and stuff, donations and stuff. Look at what we've already done to your onslaught. Can you imagine what Ukraine could do to Russia if the world would back them up properly like we fucking should be doing?
Amen.
Yeah, I gotta say that, again, even despite our success, we almost understand the price of this success because every fight every fight that we are fighting here on the front lines is very hard. So we literally don't have time to sleep, rest, eat, and stuff like that. My guys in Rubizhne are simply, I have no idea how tired they are from killing those hordes of Russians. On the other hand, of course, you know, the reason why Soviet army was feared so much, again, it was because it consisted from also Ukrainians and Belarusians. And actually, I'm 100% sure that without help of Ukrainians and Belarusians, Soviet army would not be able to be victorious in World War II. And of course, I'm not even mentioning the Lend-Lease. That, you know, Putin claims that they could have won without Lend-Lease, which is even funny to comment. But Soviet army was feared so much because Ukraine was part of that army.
I think one of the problems is you're making it look too easy. Or the fact is you're fighting really fucking hard. To most people to say, it's no problem, just the Russians just smack them on the nose, you know.
Yeah, it's very hard actually, and I think that every battle that is ongoing in Ukraine currently, it's literally heroic battle because we have to fight against so many enemies at once, and on such a huge front line in such different locations against all of their artillery, so they can literally spray us with those shells like every day, and we still have to carry precise fire at their supplies, at their ammunition storages. So what we do is we are trying to save our ammunition, of course, because it's very valuable at this time, and use it as efficiently as we can.
You know, the worst part about this, though, is Belarus, because from our territory, Russians are launching rockets, being completely safe from any kind of attack in return, because Ukraine doesn't have the capacity or doesn't want to attack back at those territories. So Russians kind of have it easy there. They can just chill and shoot rockets, and that's the worst part of it.
Yeah, it's true, and I feel you, bro. On the other hand, we have so many reports, from Belarusian soldiers who don't want to fight in Ukraine. That's basically the reason why Lukashenko wasn't able to invade Ukraine and assist Russia. So there's a lot of, again, intercepted telephone calls to those soldiers in Belarus. Yeah, and basically they say that we don't want to fight, and please give us some advice on, how to surrender. Yeah, how to surrender. Yeah, And
I think I heard that one.
yeah, yeah. And Ukrainians don't want to fight Belarusians as well. So we literally understand why it happens, because of one mustached idiot who is still ruling this beautiful country.
It looks like, so we've got a question from DKG, and I think that last one answered facties about soldiers' morale. So I'm going to hand it over to DKG now.
Yeah, it's more of a ramble. Somewhere in there is a question, and I'm not too sure what the question is, and see if you can help me eke it out. Now, we had recently that Russian colonel, ex-colonel, on Russian TV, kind of letting slip that it's not going too well for the Russians. That was a bit of a fart on Russian TV, and then he came back the next day, and everything was great again. So people had got to him. I've seen there's a guy in Russia who lives just outside of Moscow, I think, and he's been doing some live streams from inside, and he's given his point of view. And he's walking around just like shopping mall, and everything's closed down. You know, all the Western companies are left. Now, when Putin got into power, he was very pro-West. And we had those situations where we had McDonald's in Russia for the first time. Now, McDonald's have since announced, after closing all their stores in Russia, that they're not going back. They're leaving for good. Now, I suppose my question is, what do we think our future in Europe with Russia is going to be like? Because it seems like we literally are going back to the old guard, to the old ways, and back to the USSR. Great Beatles song, but not the one we want. Do you think there's hope for a longer lasting peace in Europe? Or do you think this is just going to be the start of a new cold, possibly hot war to come?
First of all, I'm very angry at McDonald's because they closed in Ukraine, and they said that they are not going to open before the end of the war. And I love McDonald's at the same time because I missed those cheeseburgers so much. Yeah, so basically now we have to go to KFC. As for Russians, I think that such a big country with such a huge population that was brainwashed for almost a century cannot just disappear, and it cannot just switch, change their direction, change their course westwards, because I think it's gonna take the same amount of time to like change their mentality as it took to brainwash them.
Well, let me put it this way, because the guy whose channel I was watching, I can't remember the name of the channel. Doesn't matter. It's like Russian Update or Russia's Update. He was giving his point of view about his country, about Russia, and he loved the collapse of the Soviet Union. He was all for it. A lot of people in Russia were all for it because they were looking to Europe. They were looking, this is where we want to be. This is how we want to live. And now he's starting to see that demise. He's starting to see it go backwards to the old way. And this is what he's worried about.
Yeah, their propagandist Kisilyov, for example, he had a villa in Italy, and he was so much pissed off with those sanctions, so he is prohibited to visit European Union, and he cannot go to his villa anymore. And again, it's so
Solovyov,
funny.
you mean?
Solovyov, yeah.
You said Kisilyov.
Yeah, I could say that. Solovyov, and it's so funny, those same propagandists who claim that West and NATO and everything Western sucks. So those very people, they either have like villas like in Europe or stuff like that. So we had a joke here in Ukraine. So it's basically Russia will never attack Europe because Russian politicians don't want to bomb their own kids who either
The
live or
schools.
study in Europe or in America.
Including Putin, by the way.
Yeah, that's why they will basically bomb, Belgorod or Voronezh or things like that.
It's actually rather interesting because throughout my life, I had this joke kind of like that I formed myself out of, observing how Russians are like, kind of living in my country. I said, like, Russians, they say that the West is full of gays and, degeneracy, and that they're all evil and want to destroy us and whatever. Said the Russian whilst picking up an iPhone, eating his Burger King burger,
Yeah.
and watching some Netflix on his TV.
Yeah, and
jerking off to some like Western porn or whatever. I don't know.
yeah, it's
So
true.
something along
It's
those
true.
lines.
It's
They're
totally true.
hypocrites.
And for example, Russian IT specialists were so efficient and so rich, and they've had like a lot of things that we in Ukraine didn't have, even though we were pro-Western all the time, like since 2013 or something, even earlier. Yeah, it's crazy. So, and by the way, regarding those gays, Kiselov this time, you probably remember his claim that herds of gays should not be used for transplantation, and banned and burned in crematoriums as those that cannot be used to save lives, which is kind of Nazi, no?
Yeah, they kind of certainly have those vibes.
Let's say
but
we've got to.
Just 1 second before, like, to answer DKG's like question a little bit more, because to expand, because my country was kind of like that. It was still the Soviet Union. Like, I only got a taste of Burger King and KFC in 2016, while all of you had access to it. I didn't, and it's livable. It's you can do it without access to it, but it's not nice when everybody else can have something and you're just stuck in this primitive kind of like society.
Well, I mean, I've had McDonald's. I mean, you can live on it, but never mind. Yeah, so I want to push the question that I was kind of like alluding to. Yeah, the future of Europe, the future. Are we looking, do you think, at a new Cold War? A new Cold War with a new USSR to be?
That's a good question.
Good question. I think we absolutely do, and I think that the only thing that we can do is increase international security. I'm speaking about NATO. I'm speaking about other possible military blocs of our allies that possibly can be created for rapid response to those threats. But we will see. Again, for some reason, because I've seen a lot of that, for some reason, I believe in some crazy, unexpected shit, like I call it here, that will save all us from this threat.
Yeah,
There's hope.
I think we're all hoping for that desperately.
I still think it comes down to the song by Sting. Do the Russians love their children too? If you launch, you've killed your children.
Yeah,
I mean, everything's
everybody.
changing. Everything's changing, isn't it? I mean, hence why Finland have joined NATO, and I think there's going to be more that are going to join NATO
They're
as
never
well.
letting
because
that
of it.
go.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
They're never letting that go.
No, absolutely, they're not. And I think everything's changing. The whole political kind of military kind of map really of Europe is really going to change quite considerably. And they bought, as the Finnish premier said, Russia bought it on themselves. They created this. They started this. They did this. Nobody else.
I think that John Tolkien knew something. Like it's like all those Mediterranean nations that are uniting against murder. It's basically the same.
Yeah.
Sorry, Clapper, but we've got a few super chats that are lagging. So let's get Aimee in and we'll get ourselves cleaned up. And then we can just, let the show ride for as long as it rides. I mean, Starsky sounds fresh. I'm good to go. I mean, I don't think we're in a rush, right?
Yeah, I replaced my blood with coffee and I'm ready.
he's got it on a drip, isn't he? I can tell.
I love that. That's great. I know. I've got plenty of tea here too. So here we go. The first super chat is from Christina Forsgaard for €19.99. Thank you, Starsky, for your excellent work. Can you talk about how Ukraine is fighting against Russian disinfo? Then we have Level 70 for Canadian, $6.99 says, do you think Russia has left their other borders vulnerable because they lost so much equipment in Ukraine? And then MMC for $20 US says, hello, Starsky. World War II, USA and allies made plywood, cardboard, paper mache, and even inflatable life-size military equipment. These fakes effectively fooled the fascists. Perhaps a few fake M777s are in order. Semper Fi. Thank you so much.
Russian disinformation. So we have huge experience in fighting Russian disinformation. We were much more vulnerable to this previously because Russian government could spend like billions into their propaganda. So according our report of our Council for Defense and Security in Ukraine, in 2018, Russia spent around $4 billion on their external propaganda, and that's just top of the iceberg. Currently, because Russia have lost a lot of their influence, like in Facebook and stuff, they've had a lot of their bot farms in Facebook that were literally copy-pasting same commentaries over and over again. I think that we can fight their misinformation much more efficiently. And we have a lot of organizations like stopfake.org, for example, that debunk not only Russian, but also, fakes that originate in Ukrainian society as well. Sorry. Stopfake.org. We are also using all kinds of assistance from international OSINT organizations that help us, for example, find real information and debunk those fakes. So it's like one of those one of the ways of fighting those fake is like debunking them and making that information public. Of course, here in Ukraine, we all agree that we simply don't want to watch Russian TV or read their papers, like at all, because whenever it's like this, whenever a Russian person is speaking on a TV, it performs a combat operation at this very moment. So we decided not to watch Russian media at all. Of course, I don't have this this luxury because I'm a press officer and I gotta monitor everything they say. And yeah, that's why I badly need vodka, but I cannot drink. As for their borders, of course, they become more vulnerable to external invasion. But I'm not sure what kind of country would like to invade Russia. Like generally. There's no point in invading Russia at all. As for
well, Hitler and Napoleon didn't do very well at that, did they?
yeah, like what was the point? I mean, come on.
Well, if you go back far enough in history, you could say that invading Russia was a good idea to alleviate the whole slavery issue and whatnot and the farming situation. But that was oh so long ago, and we're not talking about that right now, are we?
Yeah. Because the era of colonial countries has long finished, and there's only one country of such kind exists nowadays. That's Russia itself. And like, for example, what kind of neighbor would attack Russia actually? Like Sweden? Like, I don't know, Canada? Maybe China, but
Yeah,
who knows?
Yeah. China.
Yeah. So, yeah, their borders are much more vulnerable than before. But again, I think that they are paying a lot of bribes to Chinese government in order, to tighten their relations.
Do you think the world would care if China invaded Russia?
I think that we would celebrate.
We would go,
Yeah.
no, you shouldn't do that. Here's some guns.
Yeah, but there would be a huge celebration because boom, you're done. Sit down. We've heard enough. But at the same time, there would be some Western pushback due to resource grabbing and stuff, and people being like, "Holy shit, who we got next?" That's not really an open-ended question or a closed question, right?
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah, and that's a good point, by the way. So I doubt that somebody's gonna attack Russia anyways, because there's no point in it.
Where's Mipet? Australia? Come on, you can do it. Send in the Anzacs.
Yeah. Everybody have a Foster's in charge. I'm just kidding, Mipet. Don't kill me.
Yeah. Fake artillery, of course, it's used widely, not only by Ukrainians, but also by Russian forces. So we have those fake positions. We call them literally fake positions for like our machine guns or stationary grenade launchers or things like that. And it's being used for like years, like since 2014. So yeah, that's widely used in our war as well.
Hey, Dave, did you still have a question?
Yeah, I can go for that if you like.
Yeah, I think we can put that in.
Yeah, sure thing. I just wanted to say before my question that Ukraine is demonstrating to Russia how to be the country that Russia wants to be. If that makes sense. Because you're obviously something far greater in terms of just everything, what you're fighting for and what you stand for, especially when you look at somebody like Zelensky. He's the leader that Putin wants to be, if that makes sense.
Totally. Yes.
Yeah. The only difference is that we are not invading, and and Putin cannot become Zelensky because Putin is an invader, literally.
Yeah.
And of course, again, as a military, I cannot say good or bad things about my chiefs like Zelensky. I cannot analyze him and say like, yeah, he's a great guy for doing this and that.
Yeah,
or,
he's not very funny anymore.
Yeah, he sucks at that. But from what I hear from other people, of course, huge majority of Ukrainian people support Zelensky now because he's doing his job, actually. So he's doing his job on the international level, and he does his job as a supreme commander of Ukrainian armed forces. And so, I think it's great.
So maybe we could see Russia joining the Ukrainian Federation.
Well, we've had that like 1,000 years ago already.
I mean, shit, count me in.
Yeah, that would be as we need somebody to clean the toilets around here. Who can we get?
We're not into those kinds of things, we don't like slavery and shit. However, like in 2014, Russian media made this fake that Ukrainian soldiers, I'm not sure whether Cleverjack heard about it. So they made this fake that Ukrainian soldiers that participated in that anti-terrorist operation in Donbass, they were promised 2 slaves and a piece of land by our government. And yeah, it was so funny. So we even made those patches that were widely used by Ukrainian forces saying slave owner. Yeah, it was very funny.
I wanted to try and clarify something that's been confusing me for a while. Actually, the Ukraine has apparently seized $420 million in frozen assets linked to Russian oligarchs. What are those assets, and how significant is it that the Ukraine seizes them?
So Russians were obviously making a lot of investments. I mean, like they're oligarchs. They were making a lot of investments into European, American banks, and I'm not very good at economics. Again, I'm a military, but I know that they were keeping those funds in Western banks. Probably it's because Western banks are much more efficient. Probably, so they have those golden reserves that are mostly stored in Russia. Again, Russia cannot sell those golden reserves outside because of the sanctions, and their money that were stored digitally, right, in the banks in Europe, where they were arrested. And yes, there's this procedure that is being developed to return those money to Ukraine to rebuild our country.
Yeah, I wanted to follow that up because obviously there's back in non-war countries, we're having sort of various different liberal discussions about things like Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies and how easy it is to seize or not seize those currencies. So do you foresee over the coming however long that those cryptocurrencies are going to start to be used either by Ukraine or by Russia as a way of getting around those particular frozen assets?
They can be, because still even those currencies can be controlled. For example, there's this famous cryptocurrency that was widely used by Russians. It's called Luna, I guess. That's actually a very, very
God.
Yeah, it's a very famous story.
Yeah,
so
gonna say.
Yeah, so they were like keeping like thousands of dollars in that currency, and currently they have like maybe 100.
Probably less.
Yeah, even less, because this is how it works. You invade another country and you suck.
Plus, Luna, actually, I'm not sure like how much you guys know, because I know a lot. The guy that owns Luna, he just completely destroyed it. And anyone who invested into it, you can look it up. If you go to a site called CoinGecko, very great site, by the way, and look up Terra Luna, that shit is in the dump. It was like $180, and now it's nearly zero, under 1 cent.
Yeah.
So those Russians are screwed.
That was the past week that's happened. It's crazy. Their entire stable coin just collapsed. It wasn't turned out it wasn't actually very stable.
Yep. Also,
Crazy.
in terms of like circumventing kind of money blocks, whatever, with crypto, you're actually talking to a guy that's actually working in this sphere right now. I actually work
Oh, nice.
for a NFT kind of Ukrainian group that launched their own collection, and they're paying me in one of the cryptocurrencies that we use, like on a daily basis. So from Ukraine, they send like my salary, whatever, through the network, through the blockchain. I receive it here in Poland, and I just withdraw it through the exchange market, like crypto.com. And there's literally the only people that actually know that I do that is crypto.com. The people in Poland, for example, they have no idea, because the only thing that I do is just show up to a store and use crypto.com's credit card to pay for stuff.
Yeah, I've got one as well.
That sounds like a rocket science to me.
Not really. It's pretty simple, actually.
Yeah, it's
like,
really
if a
good.
dude like me can figure it out, you can too.
Did you guys see that news story about the pro-Russian hotel owner down in Odessa?
No.
He thought the Russians were great until they fired rockets into his hotel and leveled the damn thing. Hotel is no more.
I know another story about a guy who, he had some kind of high rank during Soviet times. So this is an old guy, and he basically gave Russians information, attempting to coordinate their missile strikes. And the very first missile hit his own apartment, and the guy ceased to be.
Well, I guess that's one way to go. We actually, let's see. We've got a couple of viewer questions that are pretty good.
And a super
Sorry.
chat.
Yeah. Sergey, let's do the super chats first. We've got 2 on deck, and then we'll dip into the viewer questions. Need be. You want to take care of those, Amy?
Yes, please. That would be lovely. I have the first super chat is from Critter John for $4.99. Says, do you have any news on those Syrian mercenaries that were supposed to be sent to fight for Russia last month? And then we have Level 70 for Canadian $13.99. Says, Russia is blocking important food exports from Ukraine. How likely is it that this may escalate the conflict and get other nations involved militarily to protect food exports? Thank you so much, everyone.
Regarding Syrian mercenaries, I haven't heard about them for quite a while, because the last information that I have on those mercenaries was that they failed to hire enough troops in Syria and Libya. I probably told you about it. They had 14 recruitment centers around Syria and Libya, and they expected to hire something like 30,000 or 60,000 men. Later, Syrian mercenaries that enlisted to those recruitment centers. So I think they managed to hire as much as 800 of them. And before going to Russia to receive their training, those Syrian mercenaries learned that Russians have huge casualties. And of course, they will not pay them in advance. And so they refused. So that operation failed. As for the food exports, I think that this may escalate the situation, because there are food shortages anticipated in the world because of that. Because again, Ukraine was one of the biggest exporters of not olive but sunflower oil and grains and stuff like that. So yeah, there will be shortages, unfortunately, and probably it will result into something. I'm not sure whether, of course, it will result into military operations like here in Ukraine. But yeah, there will be results for that, and we have a lot of documented cases of Russians stealing our grain storages here in Ukraine that were located on the occupied territories. So they basically transferred those grains to Russia, and they're blocking Ukrainian ports. So we cannot either export and import our goods to and from Ukraine.
I mean, heck, even the propagandists at 60 Minutes, they pretty much outright said, or was it Solovyov? I can't remember who. I'm pretty sure it was 60 Minutes. They were like, well, it's time to sell that Ukrainian grain. Her.
Yeah.
Wow.
Giddy and shit about it. Yeah.
Yeah, but the big problem
they're
is,
like that.
The big problem is that there is like months of grain backed up, tons and tons of grain ready to be shipped out. The problem is the ships that are sailing out, they have no protection.
That's
And
right.
who's going to protect them? It can't be the UN because, well, they can't. They have no protection. They have no navy. So it'd have to be NATO. So once you get NATO involved, we go down that road. And also, those ships can't get insurance. It's as simple as that.
Yeah,
It's got-
this is logistics, DK. Correct. It's huge, isn't it?
Yeah, insurance is a very big problem again because, for example, I got into a car crash like a couple of days ago, and yeah, I'm a pedestrian again, unfortunately, and
You just got the fucking thing fixed.
yeah, basically. So I was gonna rent a car, but it's very hard because because of war. Insurance companies don't really provide that service for cars. So yeah, it's kind of a problem nowadays.
You're saying you can't get insurance with bullet holes in your car.
Acts of war.
Well, if you read your cell phone manual and it has all the disclaimers about what they cover and stuff, they stop covering your phone when you go into an area that's had a nuclear disaster. Like, there's everything in there.
Oh my god.
We've actually got a question here that's kind of interesting from Robsky earlier. I'm wondering about it. Says, could you ask Starsky what happened to that Russian attack helicopter that was filmed shaking like crazy while landing?
Oh, so this helicopter is built this way. So whenever it hangs in the air, because it has like two counter-rotating propellers, they provide some specific vibration, and this vibration causes those little wings with pylons for their bombs and rockets to shake like crazy. So basically, I read an article that was written by some of Western experts that said that they would never ever certify such an aircraft because it sucks.
Well, the last two you've shown look like they were made of paper mache. I think burnt. The first one burnt to nothing, and this last one, everything but the tail section was gone.
Yeah.
Looks like junk.
Yeah.
Mass producing it. There's looks like we got super chat, and then unless anybody else has any questions, maybe wrap up. Feels like it's building down.
Sure. Yeah, we just had the one super chat. I will get that for you. It is from Manuel Lupia for 15 Canadian dollars. If you have there's no message on the super chat, but if you have a message that you want read out, we can highlight that for you and get that read out right away. Thank you so much.
DK.
Yeah, sorry. Yeah, it was a long way to get to my button. Now then, yes, you were talking about Russian mobilization earlier. Oh, let me put my hand down so it keeps it nice and tidy. Yeah, the possibility of Russian mobilization. Now, as I was implying earlier, there are some dissension inside Russia. Could mobilization in Russia itself be like the straw that breaks the camel back? Because that would have to be a draft. It would have to be conscripts, not volunteers. I'm sure they wouldn't get 1 million volunteers in Russia to go and fight in Ukraine. That's probably the last thing they want to do. So yeah, what do you think about that?
I think that it's next to impossible because I mean this very mobilization because I think that Putler understands this. For example, in order to Vladolf Putler. So in order to make a new artillery brigade, and in order to make it complete, it shouldn't only consist of infantry. They need like MLRS and cannons and howitzers and stuff like that. So in the times of World War II, they have had a lot of factories that actually produced those things, but Soviet Union was kind of isolated very much, and they had their own production that sucked balls, but it worked anyways.
Yeah, you could crank stuff out in those days. Things were a lot simpler.
Yeah, and basically what they can do now is produce same stuff that they were producing like in the World War II. I'm not well, almost like that. So currently, they are producing those trucks called Kamaz that are very well known all around post-Soviet Union countries.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and because of sanctions, they are producing the variant of Kamaz that was built in 80s. So it lacks all kinds of modern components, and it sucks.
Yeah.
And same with everything else. So they can basically produce more vehicles, more artillery systems and cannons, but they will suck balls because they will be produced without modern technologies, without modern parts. But
I mean, at this point, they could literally hot glue, a gun mount on top of a larder, and that would be, an anti-personnel vehicle as far as they're concerned, as long as they paint it green. But my question was kind of like steering towards the people. Never mind. I understand what you're saying. They won't have the gear to supply this new army that they mobilize, but the actual people themselves, it would have to be conscripted people, just telegrams or letters sent out. Right, you're in the army now, sunshine. Suck it up. I mean, that's going to have a big impression on the Russian people.
So I think that again, this this cannot happen because the mobilization cannot happen. Basically, well, mobilization may happen. I'm not sure what kind of army they will create out of all those draft soldiers and conscripts. So basically, they will have like a lot of infantry armed with awful weapons, and they don't even have enough armored vests to provide to all of them, because even here in Ukraine with all the supplies we have a similar problem. But on the other hand, I don't think that it will kind of be the straw that breaks the camel's back, because they will be sent to Ukraine and literally used just the way they were used during the World War II, as a cannon fodder, basically, because they do it all the time.
Yeah, so charge the enemy when the guy in front of you dies, pick up the rifle and carry on.
Yeah, exactly. Unless some crazy unexpected shit happens. For example, some of their FSB authorities taking command and directing all of those masses on Kremlin.
Which is entirely possible, actually.
Yeah,
Mhm.
and that's what I call unexpected crazy shit.
Yeah, mobilize an army and they're suddenly pointing the guns at you. Oops.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Hmm.
they'll eat each other alive over there. I mean, completely greedy. Looks like it's about time for wrap up, so I'm gonna go ahead and hand off to Aimee to wind us down.
Sounds like a plan. Thank you so much. This has been such a great show, and it's been great having everybody on. And I want to thank everyone in the chat for coming today too. It's been an exceptionally great chat, so thank you for that. It's been awesome. There's been some great questions, and great interactions. So it's wonderful. Thank you so much. So I'm going to first start out with, for wrap ups, I'm going to start out with Dick Dawson. Dick, what are your thoughts on this evening?
Yet again, hanging out with Starsky is just one of those nights that just, puts a little perspective in your life and makes you realize, how A, lucky we are, how B, unlucky, his side of the world is, and C, how much I do believe that the world has to stop taking these threats at idle and start putting a bit more pressure on. I mean, honestly, I as a person don't believe that Russians will launch knowing that their children are going to die. So I think it's still an actual mechanized war, and I think we should just put more pressure on. I could be wrong, but maybe that's me. Anyway, I had a great time tonight. I love these.
Excellent. Thank you so much. And next up, I have Fallacy Dave. Dave, what are your thoughts on this evening?
Thanks as always, guys. It's always fun to be here. I just wanted to finish with an observation. In order for Ukraine to make it to the World Cup this November in Qatar, you would first have to beat Scotland, then Wales, and end up in England's group for our rematch from last year. Now, I'm not saying that I desperately want a rematch with you per se, but as an Englishman, I would love to see Scotland and Wales lose. Slava Ukraini.
That's brilliant. Thank you so much. And next up, we have Clapper Jack with us tonight. Jack, what are your thoughts on this evening?
Well, it was a great stream. I liked it.
Good.
Couldn't really say much because I was mostly listening, and it was a great listen.
Good. I'm glad. Thank you so much. And next up, we have Mipet 69. Mipet, what are your thoughts on this evening? Oh, did we lose you, Mipet?
Ferret training.
Yeah, I think so. Okay, we'll come back to Mipet when her audio gets settled. So we're going to go ahead with DKG Custom. DKG, what are your thoughts on this evening?
Oh shit! You want to rap? You want wrap ups? Rap is a rap. Now this is a story about all about how my life got turned upside down, and I'd like to take a minute to sit right there. I'll tell you about how I became the prince of a town called Kiev. That's Starsky's new rap.
There you go. Thank you so much. Thank you. And next up, we have our friend that comes every week with us now, and it's so wonderful. He's part of the family. Operator Starsky, what are your thoughts on this evening?
It was awesome, and yeah, I'm learning a lot. Like every time, I learned a lot about cryptocurrency, which still is a rocket science for me. I learned a lot about football. I know for sure that Ronaldo and Leonardo are different people. Not sure even if Leonardo exists. Anyways, and of course, I want to thank you all for wonderful questions. I hope that my answers were helpful, at least a bit. And yeah, we'll see you next time. I'm very happy to be with you guys.
Thank you so much. And we're happy to have you with us. This is so great. And it gets the news out. It spreads the word. So thank you so much. And next
Best
up,
show about the war in Ukraine ever on the internet. I guarantee it. I promise you.
I you know, DK, I would enforce that.
Yeah.
I'll shut up.
Okay, thank you. And last but not least, we have Aaron Reece tonight. Aaron, what are your thoughts on this evening?
Always look forward to having Starsky here. It's nice to have a sit down, discuss everything. And I got to see today, or not today, this week, where the soldiers reached that borderline with Russia. They pushed soldiers back and they posed with that border post with Ukrainian colors on it. And I'm looking forward to seeing them take every single one of those back from the sons of bitches and push them back to Russia. And glad to have Starsky here for it. But beyond that, you know, Bobachimos will still in, my friend. And look forward to seeing you next week.
Thank you, bro.
Thank you so much. It was a great evening. The questions were great. The chat was great. You know, thank you so much for all your support, for all that we do for, you know, to get this word out. So thank you everyone for coming. I want to thank the panel as well. Thank you so much. I wish everyone a great evening. Thank you. Good night.
Good night,
So
everybody.
Good night.
Are we all going to
Bye-bye.
leave
Night,
with a rousing
everybody.
rendition of the Ukrainian national anthem?
Can you sing it?
You hum it. I'll sing along.
Here, I got better. Let's just do Slava Ukraini, fellow babies.
Slava Ukraine.
Slava Ukraini.
Ukraine.
Slava Ukraini.
Героям
Героям
слава.
слава.